All right, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and welcome. So this is our virtual lesson for the week. It's on lesson 1.8, and it's interpreting graphs of functions. Now, it's not a very difficult lesson, and the main thing we're going to focus on is the X and Y intercepts as it relates to a graph. It's very important this year that you guys understand the difference between the intercepts and kind of what it actually relates to everything else. All right, so as we begin, we're going to skip the bell work, and we'll go right to interpreting the function. So if you have your vocabulary notes, I want to make sure you guys understand, and please fill out the vocabulary as we go along, so you guys can get the terms, because I will throw these out there a lot. All right, interpret the graph of a function, estimate and interpret key features. The intercepts of a graph are points where the graph intersects on an axis, okay? This is the y-coordinate of the point at which the graph intersects the y-axis is, of course, called a y-intercept. And similarly, the x-coordinate of a point where the graph intersects the x-axis is called the x-intercept. All right, so as we go through, and I forgot to be there. All right, so as we go through, I want you guys to find, and it's really simple below. And what's going to be is just identifying what the difference between the x and the y-intercept are. So remember, this is the x-axis. You have a little x that's written right here that you guys can see on the notes, and the y. Okay, so what you're looking at is where does this graph intersect and what was the coordinate point. So here's the intersection for this graph here, and here's the other one. And so what you're going to understand is at this point right here, identify the point, okay? The point would be 1 over 0 up, and then this point here would be 0 over and -2 down. And so what we have is we actually have our intercepts. So this is the x-intercept, where y is 0, but x has a number. So the x-intercept equals 1. And then this is the y-intercept, where x is 0, but y has a number. So the y-intercept is -2. Okay, simple concepts, but understand where it actually intersects, x and y. Okay, so on the x, once again, it's right here. That point would be -4, 0. Okay, so my x-intercept is -4. On this coordinate here, on the y-intercept, it graphs at 4, so my y-intercept equals 4. Remember, what you're doing is it's 0, 4. So what is the y? It says here, what is the y-coordinate of the point that intersects the y-axis? What is the y-coordinate where it intersects the y-axis? That's why it says those things in the notes like that, okay? Y is and then this one, similarly the x-coordinate of the point which it intersects at the x-axis, okay? The x-coordinate where it intercepts at the x-axis. That is the point, the coordinate point, okay? It's very important for you guys to understand x-intercepts this year, just to make sure you go along. So the x-intercept on this one is 2, because this point is 2, 0. And then this point here, the y is -4. Okay, simple enough to understand, but make sure you guys get the concepts and grasp. All right, what I want you to do is, I want you guys, the video is going to pause, okay, and it's going to ask for a couple different answers. Whatever I decide to go in, please answer them appropriately. Okay, I haven't quite determined how I'm going to do this part for you guys for the interactive part, but hopefully you guys answered the questions appropriately. All right, so for this first graph here, we had the point of this x-intercept is -2, okay, and the y is 2. All right, on this one here, my x would have been -2, and then my y would have been 4. This one here, my y would have been -4, and my x would have been 1, right? So please make sure you understand it's intercept, but I don't want to write it all out. Okay, now I want you to graph some things. Simple enough, but for some of you in here, you may be struggling with the graph concepts. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing, right? So I give you an x-intercept and a y-intercept, and all you have to do is put the points and connect the dots. X is 4, so if I'm x, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? My y is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, ladies and gentlemen, all you would do from there would be to connect the dots. Okay, so now you graph the point, Simple as that, right? Nothing too difficult. X is -3, 1, 2, 3. Y is -7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and then you would connect the dots. Now, I'm not the best at drawing straight lines, but you get the gist, right? X is -1, and Y is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what I've seen. Okay, I've seen in the past where students get these wrong. Well, they'll mix up the numbers, okay? That's a horrible line, but you get the gist. It's where they mix up the numbers and they say, oh, -1, they put it here, and then they put the 5 over here. No, that's wrong, okay? Make sure you know which intersect is which. All right, and then go ahead and do these on your own, please. All right, there's no natural break or cause on this, so I just want to do these out real quick. This is going to be -3 and -6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 6, right there, and then draw a line. Make sure it's in the same general slope, by the way, of it. All right, X is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Y is -1 right there, and then we connect the dots, something like that, and then X is 3, Y is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you connect the dots, something like that, okay? I'm looking for the angle and the slope. Make sure they're the same as what I have displayed here. That's what's most important. All right, now we're going to identify the X and Y intercepts. Same thing, same concepts, okay? But there are multiple ones here, all right? So you just got to make sure where on the Y and where on the X is the interception. So I have one here, here, and I got one here, okay? But what is the difference between the two? So for the X, we have 2 spots, right? Because remember, it's the X in the coordinate point. So it'd be 2, 0. So it's the X. So I have a 2 and -2, right? And then my Y is going to be -4. All right, this one, I have 1 here, 1 there, and 1. I'm looking for the intercepts, okay? So my X here, X-intercepts are going to be 2, -4, and then my Y is 2. Okay, so it's going to be the same style, all right? Make sure you understand what we're looking for, right? Because this point is 2, 0. All right, this point is 0, 2, and this will be -4, 0. Every time it crosses the X, I'm looking for the X coordinate, and when it crosses the Y, I'm looking for the Y. All right, so the last but certainly not least on this list, I don't care about the vertex, I just care about where it crosses the Y and the X, right? So now, the setup on this, my X is going to be 4 and -2, and then my Y is -2. Simple concepts, just make sure you guys can get it. Now the same thing, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but whatever question is asked, answer it. All right, simple setups again, here, here, and here. So X is going to be -3 and 1, Y is going to be 3. So I got a point here, a point there, and a point there. So my X is -3 and -1, and my Y is 1. And then same here, I got here, here, and here. So my Y is 3, and my X is 1 and 3. Simple enough, okay? It's very important that you guys know these intersects as we go through. All right, the very last thing is identifying the maximum values of the vertexes, okay? Now this is a vertex, kind of a similar little, but these are more of a maximum or minimum value on a function. Now we'll see some of these this year, but this is mainly going into the Algebra 2 realm. But we will see a lot of parabolas that come up and down like a U, right? But it won't have a sine wave like this. And we have to identify the maximums or the minimums. And so I kind of give you a little key term by putting it at the bottom here. I'm looking for what are the maximum terms, okay? So maximums would be every time you're at the what? The height, okay? So there are actually 2. There's a point here and a point here. So my maximum values are going to be the actual points that you're going to put in, right? So it's going to be at -2 and 0, and then the other one is going to be at 2, 3. Simple enough. Okay, that's the maximum values. Now I want to look for minimum values, okay? Minimums are, of course, the dips in the road where you have, here's one, and there's one right there. So my minimum values are going to be -1, -2, and then my other one is 1, 2, 3, 3 over, and -1, down. Simple enough. Now what I want you guys to do is answer the questions that's going to pop up related to both those maximum and minimum values. All right, so make sure you guys are doing this, and please make sure at the end, okay, if it gives you, depending on how we grade this, if it's not multiple choice, I've got to go in by hand and grade it. So please be aware that it might say 0 out of something, but don't freak out, okay? Because remember, we are going to I have to grade this stuff and figure it out. All right, so my values here are going to be -2, 3, and then my other one is going to be 3, -1, and then the last one here, minimum values are here and here. That would be -2, -3, and then the last one would be 3 over 0 up. Okay, simple as that. Very quick lesson, very easy. Ladies and gentlemen, understand how to start to read graphs. Okay, as we move into lesson chapter 2 and 3 and 4 and beyond, I'm going to throw a whole bunch of graphs at you, and you're going to have to be able to interpret them. It's very important now, but also into the future, especially in the world of like finance and math and how you save. If you have any questions, please come see me. Thanks for doing this virtual lesson, and have a great day, guys.